Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 52, entitled Rukmini's Message to Krishna. So there's a summary to chapter 52, and we'll read that summary first, and then we'll proceed on to text number 1. There's no purport for that, and then text number 2 with the purport. So the summary of the chapter is as follows. This chapter describes how Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna, running as if in fear, went to Dwarka. And then Lord Krishna heard the message of Rukmini from the mouth of a Brahmana and chose her as his wife. King Muchukunda, shown mercy by Lord Sri Krishna, offered obeisances and circumambulated him. The king then left the cave and saw that humans, animals, trees and plants were all smaller than when he had fallen asleep. From this he could understand that the age of Kali was at hand. Thus, in a mood of detachment from all material association, the king began worshipping the Supreme Lord, Sri Hare. Sri Krishna returned to Mathura, which was still under siege by the barbarian army. He destroyed this army, collected all the valuables the soldiers had been carrying, and set off to Dwarka. Just then, Jarasandha arrived on the scene with a force of 23 Akshayani. Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna, acting as if fearful, left their riches aside and ran far away. Because Jarasandha could not appreciate their true power, he ran after them. After running a long way, Rama and Krishna came to a mountain named Pravashana and proceeded to climb it. Jarasandha thought they had hidden inside a cave and looked all over for them. Unable to find them, he built fires on all sides of the mountain. As the vegetation of the mountain slopes burst into flame, Krishna and Balaram jumped off the peak. After reaching the ground, unseen by Jarasandha and his followers, they returned to the Dwarka fort, which floated within the sea. Jarasandha decided that Rama and Krishna had burnt to death in the fire, and he took his army back to his kingdom. At this point, Maharaj Parikshit asked a question, and Sri Sukadev Goswami responded to it by beginning to narrate the history of the marriage of Lord Sri Krishna and Rukmini. Rukmini, the young daughter of Bhishmaka, king of Vidarbha, had heard of Sri Krishna's beauty, strength and other fine qualities. And she therefore made up her mind that he would be the perfect husband for her. Lord Krishna also wanted to marry her. But although Rukmini's other relatives approved of her marriage to Krishna, her brother Rukmi was envious of the Lord and thus forbade her to marry him. Rukmi wanted her to marry Shishupal instead. Rukmini unhappily took up her duties in preparation for the marriage, but she also sent a trustworthy Brahmana to Krishna with a letter. When the Brahmana arrived in Dwarka, Sri Krishna properly honored him with ritual worship and other tokens of reverence. The Lord then asked the Brahmana why he had come. The Brahmana opened Rukmini's letter and showed it to Lord Krishna, who had the messenger read it to him. Rukmini Devi wrote, quote, "Ever since I have heard about you, my Lord, I have become completely attracted to you. Without fail, please come before my marriage to Shishupal and take me away. In accordance with family custom, on the day before my marriage, I will visit the temple of Goddess Ambika. That would be the best opportunity for you to appear and easily kidnap me. If you do not show me this favor, I will give up my life by fasting and observing severe vows. Then perhaps in my next life, I will be able to obtain you." Unquote. After reading Rukmini's letter to Lord Krishna, the Brahmana took his leave so that he might carry out his daily religious duties. So the end of the summary to this chapter. So here in text 1:1, you can repeat after me. Shri Sukha Uvacha Hitam So Nugrahitunga Krishne Nakshpakunandana Tam Parikramya Sannamya Nishchakrama Guha Mukhat. Vamsi. Chakravarti. Mataji's. And the word for word. Shri Sukha Uvacha. Sukadev Goswami said, Itam, in this manner, Saha, he, Anugrahitaha, shown mercy, Anga, my dear, Parikshit Maharaj, Krishnena, by Lord Krishna, Ikshvakunandana, Muchukunda, the beloved descendant of Ikshvaku, Tam, him, Parikramya, circumambulating, Sanamya, bowing down, Nishchakrama, he went out, Guha, of the cave, Mukhat, from the mount. And translation by the followers of Srila Prabhupada. Sukadev Goswami said, my dear king, thus graced by Lord Krishna, Muchukunda circumambulated him and bowed down to him. Then Muchukunda, the beloved descendant of Ikshvaku, exited through the mouth of the cave. I'll just read text 2 myself, you don't need to respond. Samvikshya Shulakan Matyan Pashun Virud Vanas Patin Matva Kali Yugam Praptam Jagama Disham Uttaram. And the translation here. As seeing that the size of all the human beings, animals, trees and plants was severely reduced, and thus realizing that the age of Kali was at hand, Muchukunda left for the north. And in the purport, there are several significant words in this verse. A standard Sanskrit dictionary gives the following English meanings for the word Shulaka: little, small, low, vile, poor, indignant, wicked, malicious, abandoned, hard, pained, and distressed. And these are the symptoms of the age of Kali, and all these qualities are set here to apply to men, animals, plants, and trees in this age. We who are enamored of ourselves and our environment can perhaps imagine the superior beauty and living conditions available to people in former ages. The last line of this text, Jagama Disham Uttaram, quote, he went towards the north, unquote, can be understood as follows. By traveling north in India, one comes to the world's highest mountains, the Himalayan range. There one can still find many beautiful peaks and valleys where there are quiet hermitages suitable for austerity and meditation. Thus in Vedic culture, going to the north indicates renouncing the comforts of ordinary society and going to the Himalayan mountains to practice serious austerities for spiritual advancement. Omajnana timirandasya jnananjana shalakaya Chakshudun militam yena tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Svapadantikam Vanchakalpa Tadubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. His Holiness Giriraj Swami has just completed another book. It's called Dancing White Elephants, traveling with Srila Prabhupada from 1970 to 1972 in India. That's the first batch of 30 some odd devotees who joined Srila Prabhupada, leading some devotees. And he was one of them. So, Srila Prabhupada was in Indore in December of 1970. And he was invited to speak at the Lions Club. You also get like a Rotary Club, something like that. Yeah. These are like influential people who belong to such a club. Yeah. So during the talk at one point, I don't speak Hindi, but I can understand a little bit. But he was speaking there in English, because his disciples there were with him. But if any of you heard Srila Prabhupada speaking in Hindi in India, his audio lectures, practically in a lot of those lectures, quite a number, he screams, he shouts at them, his own countrymen. You know, like, wake up, like Jeep Jago. So here also he didn't like sort of cushion anything or pull any punches. He let it go, like that. And at one point he very bluntly told all these leading people in Indore in December 1970. And Srila Prabhupada said, and this is his exact words, in 3 years, I accomplished 100 times more than all the Swamis and Yogis who have come to the West in the past century. You can imagine 3 years means like, from 1966 to 67, 68, 69, and he came to 1970, to India at that time, with his disciples. So there's a difference between King Muchakunda, going to Badrikashram. He went to Badrinath. He went to, you could say, liberate himself and go back to Vaikuntha or Goloka. But Srila Prabhupada didn't do that. And Prabhupada sometimes used to quote, Panchas Udvan Vanam Brajet, at the age of 50, you take Vanaprastha, you go to some forest. And when one disciple asked Srila Prabhupada, which forest? He said, Vrindavan, Vrindavan. in that forest. Like that. But also Srila Prabhupada, he did not really follow that because this is during the previous Yuga, Dwarpa Yuga, where this sort of mission for preaching was not so pronounced because people were more pious. And this is like the beginning of Kali Yuga. Prayana alpaya subya kalo asmin yuge chanaha mande subande matayu mande bhagihi upadrita. And in the purport, the devotees who gave the commentary, they say this particular word in the second verse, shulakan, and it means little, small, low, vile, poor, indignant, wicked, malicious, pain, distress. So this is in keeping with that verse also, that in the Kali Yuga people are bound to be distressed, short lives, short memory, and above all they quarrel with each other. So King Muchakunda, he could see this coming of the age of Kali, and he couldn't relate to it actually. He couldn't relate to it because people were not his sort of size and stature and so forth. And he just went to the knot. He felt he couldn't go into this situation from the beginning of Kali Yuga. But Prabhupada is different. Prabhupada is in the Kali Yuga and this is what he has done. And Prabhupada's followers are also different. I did some research. I also went to Chardham twice. Yamunotri, Gangotri, Kedarnath and Badrinath. But I didn't come across so much in Srila Prabhupada's conversations, lectures, room talks, morning walks, or even in the purports, emphasizing that we should go there, like that. Although it's nice to go, it's holy places, it's nice to go, and I went twice. It's nice to go. But we have to come back into the age of the influence of Kali, like that, and try to be compassionate to people as we have received mercy and compassion. And similarly, Krishna extended his mercy and compassion to Muchakunda, but he didn't tell him to preach. He said, you go back now. It's okay. You did enough service, for the demigods and so forth. You go back. But Srila Prabhupada didn't tell us to do that. What's that famous thing? Work now, samadhi later. Yeah. So maybe when one's age is a little older and so forth, one should go to Vrindavan or Mayapur or Jagannath Puri and pass one's life. Because if one does not do that and one is in ISKCON temples where the missionary spirit is vibrant, then time will be taken that you have to take care of these other devotees and the missionary spirit is there. So the holy places are necessary, but at the same time it's necessary in some part of one's life, especially for old age and disease, and one who's in the Vanaprastha ashram can do that. But Srila Prabhupada never did that. Never did that. And in another place, it's quite amazing actually. He never thought of retiring, and he says it. And this is a beautiful talk he gave in Los Angeles in March 3rd, 1974. And I'll just directly tell you his words. In this old age of 80s, Because in 1965 he was 79 years of age and now he's 74. So it's nearing 80, which is practically almost 10 years. In this old age of 80s, when most people take retirement and rest on the bed, I have taken this initiative, working day and night, sleeping only for 2 hours, so that when I leave this world, I could give all of you a concrete infrastructure of my dream. Not my dream, but the dream of Lord Krishna. I hope in Ashaband, I hope all of my disciples, that means contemporary, the current ones which he is speaking to, and upcoming, the future generations, will take care of this legacy with their heart and soul. That's all I expect from all of you. And then Prabhupada begins to cry, and in his emotional state, he just uses the words at the end, "Thank you very much." And that was the end. So it's sort of important that in order to do that, in order to be a preacher, in order to distribute books, in order to distribute prasadam and distribute the holy name, one can only do that if one lives simply. If you live simply, you can do that. Yeah. So this is also needed there, because in the purport itself, towards the end, it says that thus in Vedic culture, going to the north indicates renouncing the comforts of ordinary society and going to the Himalayan mountains to practice serious austerities for spiritual advancement. So the austerity for us is not to be absorbed in the comfort of the material world. And that's kind of easily available. And it's even more easily available for a preacher. See, everyone else has to work hard to live comfortably in the material world. But they respect the preacher, and they try to give those comforts to the preacher. And the preacher can really be bewildered. He doesn't continue with his preaching mission and spirit. So one has to be cautious for that. So when Srila Prabhupada first entered his quarters here, on the 5th floor of the Prabhupada Tower, when he first entered the quarters, before the temple could be opened here in 1978. And he commented in two ways. One of the leading devotees who was the architect and also involved with the construction of the project, his name was Surabhi Prabhu. And Prabhupada gave him son as Surabhi Abhipalayan Swami. Yeah. So, soon as Srila Prabhupada entered the quarters, he said, "This is fit for a king." This place. Because this is the most opulent quarters of Srila Prabhupada in the world. More opulent even than his home in Vrindavan or his quarters in Los Angeles. Most opulent. This one. Including these ornate pillars of wood around that cement, whatever. Yeah. So then he turned round to Surabhi and he said, "It is fit for a king, but where is queen?" He sort of jested about it, like that. So when he entered further into the room, I mean, you can imagine, this is the founder Acharya. He's like Jagat Guru of the whole world, like that. And he's like light-hearted about it. So he entered, he said, and there, well, what will I do? If you go into the room and you enter now into the foyer, on your left side when Prabhupada enters, and what will I do? And then the devotees were accompanying him. He said, now there you will dictate. You see his dictaphone. So he turned left and he said, what will I do? There you will take rest on this side, the eastern side. So he walked again, and what will I do there in the main mandap? He said, no, there you will meet guests. So Prabhupada's deities form is there. Yeah. And then he turned around, what will I do on the right side? Here you will honor prasadam. Like that. And then he goes into the room, and the next room on the left side, what is this room for? This is your day room. And Prabhupada was so suchi. In that day room, he'll only pass water. Only pass water. Like a separate situation. But in his bedroom, he'll pass in the morning. And then there was his kitchen for the servants like that. And Prabhupada said, just like my rooms at Radha Damodar, in one corner, I used to take rest. I mean, if you've been to Radha Damodar temple, that's small, besides the kitchen area, and across the veranda, the small room. How small is that room? Maybe like 2.5 meters by 3 meters or something, right? That's small room. He said, just like my rooms at Radha Damodar. In one corner, I used to take rest. In another corner, I used to translate the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. In another corner, I used to meet people. Just like my rooms at Radha Damodar. He was never bewildered. Never bewildered by the facility given to him. He was a completely transparent medium. Completely transparent medium. And one time Srila Prabhupada went on the other side, and he was facing the western side, the ocean. Like that. And then the breezes, came for that door where he takes on the prasad. Said, Vaikuntha breeze. It's in a letter also. It's in a letter. Vaikuntha breeze. He was not living in Juhu, in Mumbai. Not living in Juhu in Mumbai. So there's a difference in the consciousness. And we cannot imitate that and get bewildered by the comfort zone of the material world. And therefore Muchukunda, he's a king. He decided, I have to go. What's that? Ganda Madana, gardens and so forth. It's nice. You go to Badrinath, you'll see flowers there and so forth. He's a king. He went back to Bhumi, like Mother Nature. It's more natural and so forth. So we can try to follow, but not imitate. It will be nice. This is Srila Prabhupada. Quite different from the inhabitants of Dwarpa Yuga into the Kali Yuga. All right, we have some time. If you want to ask me questions or offer a comment, you're welcome. Even if it's something you want to ask or comment outside of what we're discussing, that's also fine. I'm going to stop at 9 o'clock because I have to take a flight. I have to go to the airport. So we have about 15-20 minutes. Anyone? You can raise your hand. The microphone can come to you. Yes, it's a hand in the back.
Hare Krishna.
What's your name?
Hari Narayan Das. Hari Narayan Das.
Hari Narayan. You tell us?
Maharaj, thank you for the nice class. You shared how in today's world preachers get
Preachers can?
comforts, which outside people are working so hard for the comforts.
Yeah, if you're a preacher, Maya waits for you.
So how to say
If you're a preacher, Maya waits for you. But if you're not a preacher, you don't know you are influenced by Maya. So one is knowledge, and the other is in the innocence of ignorance. So one is not a preacher, you'll be in the innocence of the ignorance. So this is normal life. I'm a normal devotee, so what? But a preacher is a little different. Preacher knows Maya waits. Maya wants to not serve. Maya wants to influence. The preacher knows that. The preacher is more careful. So life becomes. Srila Prabhupada said that, okay, just to respond to you. One time His Holiness Krishna Goswami asked Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada does say this in different purposes, that Krishna consciousness practices are easy. And it's very easy. You chant Hare Krishna, you honor Krishna Prasad. It's easy. So in this particular context, when Krishna Goswami was asking that to Srila Prabhupada, rebutted back. He said, I never said Krishna consciousness is easy. So Krishna Goswami was a little bit bewildered. He said, Prabhupada, but you said that. He said, no, I never said that like that. Then Krishna Goswami was a little bit bold with Srila Prabhupada. He said, but Srila Prabhupada, then what did you say? Then Srila Prabhupada, in a very humble and soft tone, he said, I said that Krishna consciousness is simple. Is simple. Then it becomes easy. Is that okay?
my question was that how we can be saved from this attack of Maya?
How?
How we will be saved from this attack of Maya where preacher will be attracted from the comforts and then he will be bewildered.
So I'm going to ask you a question on your question. Is that okay? It's my habit. So how can you be saved from what? You want to be saved from what?
From the so-called comforts which will come.
You have to have common sense. You have to use common sense. Because common sense is not so common nowadays. It's simple. You have to use common sense. You don't require deep spiritual realization, this, that, no. It's Krishna consciousness is the simple. It's simple. Simple means it's common sense. Are you digesting what I said? Can you want to say more? Say. Give him the microphone. Let's see if he understands. So can you give me an example of how you can use your common sense personally on yourself, not in general, to improve, to come to simple life in Krishna consciousness? Give me an example.
Let's say I'm traveling.
Yes.
And the devotees whom I would be preaching, they will help me by carrying my luggage or something like that. So then I should make sure that it's not needed. If my health is good, I can carry my luggage, then I should carry. I should not allow them to do that. Because that's not the purpose. Purpose is to encourage them in Krishna consciousness, not that to get my personal service to be done.
But also you have to learn, if they are devotees who want to serve you, it's part of Krishna consciousness. You have to accept service as a service. That's called common sense. And then you'll find an opportunity to serve those devotees who are serving you. It's a reciprocation. Don't just accept the service and not be a transparent via medium. It stops by you as the Ishvara. No, you have to be transparent via medium. So then you can respond by also serving them without them knowing they're being served. Like if they're in a room and you see the clothes are there, it's laundry time to wash, before they come back from prasad, go and wash their clothes. It's already done. For common sense. Therefore, Krishna consciousness is simple. Some other hand, any of the Vaishnavis, Matajis have a question? There's 4 hands up here, so. Okay, bring the microphone here, Prabhu. Yes, Vishnu, Tattva. Yes.
Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Maharaj, for nice class. Maharaj, our desire for being comfortable, our desire for enjoying the pleasure of this world is very deep-rooted.
That's not abnormal, that's normal.
So when such opportunities are available, given to us, then to say no, to remain aloof, to not get attracted, become difficult, and we go with it. So how a devotee, how I take care that I should not get.
It depends on your internal state of consciousness. If you are sort of internally Atma Ramascha Munaya, if you are self-satisfied, you will accept some facility given to you, but that facility is temporary. It is temporary. So the temporary facility that is given to you as a sort of comfort situation in the material world, it's so temporary that you leave it behind in a few days. Especially for brahmacharis and sannyasis. But the maya is you become attached to it. You become? Yeah. You should know that the facility, you have to accept service as a service. But the facility itself is temporary, but the service as a service you're accepting will help the other person in devotional service. Srila Prabhupada was sitting on the Vyasa in London, one of the temples, I forget which one. Yeah. He was sitting on the Vyasa and it was a little bit cold. So he was wearing a very expensive cashmere sweater. Call it sweater? What? Shawl, sweater. Yeah. Like he's wearing it. No, not a chadar. Like what? Yeah. So at the end of the class, as he's about to come off the Vyasa, so one devotee immediately came and gave him another sweater, which was like not a cashmere sweater. Like that. And Prabhupada graciously received that. And immediately, while there, he took out the expensive cashmere sweater and he put on the other sweater that he just received, and he gave that cashmere sweater to the devotee who gave him the inexpensive one. Because he didn't need two. Getting it? Yeah. So especially for brahmacharis and sannyasis. And if a brahmachari wants to be involved in some material opulence, then he'd better get married. It's simple. Get married. But when you get married, it does not so simple after that. Is that okay? So you can accept facility but temporarily, and you have to honor the other person trying to serve you. You have to honor and respect that. We'll take, there's some question right at the, oh, there's a Mataji there. Everyone, just pass the microphone to the back and everyone can chant in the meantime. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You got the microphone?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. What's your name?
My name is Bhaveshwari Radhika Devidasi. Bhaveshwari Radhika.
Radhika Devidasi. Yes, tell us.
Yes, Maharaj. So my question is this: sometimes common sense, while applying common sense, maybe some principles also they are broken, or we think that if we apply our common sense and do this, this will be helpful for our Krishna consciousness. But if we see some scriptural regulation, it is against it. It may not hamper our Krishna consciousness, but the confusion may come.
Okay, 1 second. Can you give me an example?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Maharaj. Sorry.
Because I don't understand.
So it's like, say for a man to cultivate young girls in Krishna consciousness. So the principle is that men should not mix with women. But while cultivating, one can get, one has to get involved in the life of a person. So common sense is, one is coming to me for help.
What do you mean?
Sorry.
What do you mean that when you're cultivating somebody, one has to get involved with the life of a person? What do you mean by that?
You get involved with that person.
Yeah, but what do you mean getting involved with the life of a person? What do you mean?
Getting involved in the sense, when you talk and converse with somebody, you get involved with them. Like, I don't know, while cultivating...
One second.
Yes.
I think I sort of understood what you're saying. Let me respond and you tell me whether it's okay.
Okay.
All right?
Yes.
We good?
Yeah.
You can sit. Relax, you can sit. So, Srila Prabhupada, in the famous essay in terms of giving a nice description and definition and meaning of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, he says that when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. It is not on the physical or sensual platform. It is not on the mental or emotional platform. It is not on the philosophical or intellectual platform. It is completely on the spiritual platform. See? So, your question would be something like this, that you like maybe an adult, a young adult, right? But you're preaching to younger girls, female-bodied than you.
No, a young man preaching to...
No, you listened carefully.
Yeah. Yes.
So if a young-bodied female is being cultivated by an experienced devotee, female, like that, so the cultivation in Krishna consciousness should not lead you for the other person who you're preaching to become physically or sensually or emotionally or mentally or philosophically, or intellectually attached to you. That's very dangerous. Then you cannot be a transparent via medium. You cannot be a transparent via medium. You can only be a transparent via medium on the spiritual platform, not on the philosophical, not on the intellectual, not on the mental or emotional, and not on the sensual or physical platforms. When somebody becomes attached to you on these 6 types of platforms, you cannot be transparent via medium, and you'll become attached to the person as your follower. See? And it's as if saying that the person is so attached to you that even if they go to the bathroom, they'll phone you. Can I go to bathroom? See? So do not preach to people and cultivate them as your follower, as they're like a robo. You know, robo? Switch on, switch off. No. That's very dangerous for you and for the person who's becoming attached to you. That means you're not a transparent via medium. So don't get involved in people's lives. Just give them what will take them out of that life that they're suffering in. And one has to be very careful to be a transparent via medium. And if you don't know how to do it, you'll learn by your own experience. Like sometimes, there was some examples, sometimes it's like this. So one devotee will tell me, he's like a brahmachari. And he says, and she's married, she has children. But Maharaj, she's very emotionally attached to me. In fact, she's so dependent on me. If she doesn't speak to me once a week, something happens to her. Hare, you are a rascal. You like to be attached. She becomes your property. She becomes your possession. A preacher is above possessiveness, is a transparent vibe. So that's how simple consciousness of Krishna is. Not that that person becomes consciousness of you. Oh, I'm conscious of you, I dream about you, I think about you. And what is that? It could be an emotional attachment. It could be a philosophical attachment. Like a philosophical attachment is like this. A philosophical attachment is that, you don't read Prabhupada's books, but when you have a question, you ask this person because they read Prabhupada's books. But if they tell you something and they don't give a reference from Prabhupada's books, and you believe it because you're attached to them philosophically, you don't know whether it's right or wrong. Oh, I'm attached. He said it, See? To be a transparent via medium is not a cheap thing. Your life has to be simple. Just yesterday one person came to me, Maharaj, I have 1 crore, what do I do with it? I said, I don't know. I said, just buy books from the BBT and go and distribute it as sponsored books in the libraries. I said, get plugged into the mission. Then I said, but what else? Can't I do something for the deities? I said, the deities get enough. There's enough pious Indian people who are not devotees who will give anything for the deity. Yes or no? But you are a devotee. You have 1 crore. You go into the mission. Get into the mission. Especially distribute books. Yes, you have 1 crore. Okay, I'll tell you what to do. Come on. I've answered your question in another way. Is that okay?
Yes, Maharaj, it was perfect and very clear. Thank you very much.
Can I stop? Is that okay? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Natai Go Premanande.